On our final live episode for 2025, we have a man who is marking a third year anniversary. He is Fifi Kwetey, the General Secretary of the governing NDC. He has a tough task indeed ahead because for the first time since I can remember, since 2008, when, as you know, the party went through the transition, then you have the Mills period, and then JM came on the ticket as first the running mate, the vice president. It's been a long time since they've had to go through a period where they will have to replace their presidential candidate. Think about it. JM has been on the ballot since 2012. And before that, of course, he was the running mate. Now they will have to go through the phase of renewal, of putting somebody else there for 2024. And he's the man, the General Secretary at the helm, the Chief Executive, who must make sure that this entire process moves smoothly because, as you know, in our political history, it tends to be acrimonious and it has to be managed. The NPP is going through that phase right now. And we've seen the challenges. Yesterday, Brian Champon was on my show and he went very hard as the former Vice President, Baumia. So I'm going to be picking his thoughts on that today as he marks 3 years. Exactly 3 years ago today, he was elected. There's a whole host of other things we need to talk to him about. We'll talk to him about the internal elections. He himself, maybe, I'll get him to confirm pretty shortly, may want to put himself up again for another term because the party just published their elections timetable next year, December. I believe December 19th, to be very precise, they will hold another National Delegates Congress. So I'll pick his thoughts on that. And then we have the controversy surrounding the Bandai rerun that had now been stepped aside by the Supreme Court, has been suspended by the Supreme Court. And also we have to talk about the party officers holding, dual positions, both in government and in party. What is his thoughts on that? How is the government, his party, going to deal with it? And then we need to talk about managing grassroots expectations. And that is a big deal indeed. He's my guest tonight. We'll talk about national issues, his own assessment of the party's performance in government, the party's relationship with their members of parliament, especially considering that the whip and others have now started a process that it appears may have been terminated or suspended because the president sent in a request when the chief whip and the majority leader put in a private member's bill in an attempt to repeal, to abolish the office of the special prosecutor. Is there an NDC conspiracy to remove the special prosecutor and have the office abolished? My guest, Wayne, after this. Thank you very much for staying with us here on PM Express. It is always brought to you by Syntex Tanks. If you're looking for the right quality tank to store water in, it's simple. Look for the tortoise on the tank. If you find it, then it's correct. That is the correct tank. And that's right, the tortoise tank. It is the champion of water tanks. It is strong, it is durable, and built to handle our Ghanaian weather, rain or shine. Syntex Tanks is strong and tough. And then Pepsodent Cavity Fighter. Every time we eat food and sugars are trapped between our teeth, leading to tooth decay, gum disease, and in some cases, foul breath. Brushing your teeth every morning and night with Pepsodent Cavity Fighter gives your teeth the protection they need, leaving you with 10 times stronger teeth. Pepsodent, every smile matters. My guest tonight is the General Secretary of the NDC, the National Democratic Congress, Fifi Kwetey. Thank you very much for your time on PM Express.
Happy to be here, Evans, and good evening to all your many viewers all over the world.
Just before we came on, I was just checking when you were elected. It turns out that on the 17th of December, 2022, exactly 3 years ago today.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure that night we're covering this. I'm not sure by 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, all the votes may have been counted.
No, not yet.
But exactly 3 years ago today, you were elected General Secretary.
That's true.
How do you reflect on the last 3 years?
Thank you very much, Evans, and that's true. Date to date, this is exactly the third year when I got elected to become the General Secretary of this great vehicle, this great movement. And I can only say that it's been, it's one that I find still very humbling because, I mean, growing up as a young person, I can remember the period around 1982 when I was a student attending the final rally of the NDC at the Accra Sports Stadium. I remember a young guy watching Jerry Rawlings stand on the podium, larger than life, just as if it were yesterday. I mean, to think that down the years, I'll be given the privilege of becoming the chief executive of this great political party. It's only, I can only say it's an issue of gratitude. So I'm really very grateful for the opportunity. I've served in many positions, as you know, I mean, government and also as an MP. But I can tell you that I hold this position for a lot of pride, because for me, it's a position that is far more important, because you are literally in the very heart of millions of people, helping to craft a movement, helping to define a political party, to shape values of millions of people, and at the same time, a vehicle that becomes important also for the country in terms of our aspirations as a people, in terms of the country. So it's been one great opportunity, and I can only today again thank the delegates.
Have you met your own expectations? You must have had expectations at the time. You must have set your own bar and what you hope to achieve. In 3 years, have you done that? I
would say yes. The expectations generally have to do with what it is that we want to achieve as a party. First and foremost, the biggest hope at all moments, especially after almost 8 years in opposition, is that your tenure will be one that will help bring the desire of the political party, which is to win power. And I would say that that has been granted. That's not just been granted. I would say if there is any general secretary in the history of any political party, not just in Ghana, but beyond the world, the greatest dream would have been to be on a day-to-day administrative charge of a political movement that will deliver the kind of result that we got in 2024. It's only a blessing. I mean, like, I can tell you, Hudu Yaya would have loved to be the general secretary that's delivering to third majority in parliament. Any other person who has been general secretary, not just in NDC, but across the other political parties in MPP, and so I would have definitely wished for that. I mean, so for me to be blessed to have such wonderful victory, I would say it's been much more than dream of. If somebody told me 3 years ago that I'll be as general secretary and we're going to deliver, getting that kind of result, I would have said, really, are you sure? To third majority, that really is massive to win with the kind of, shall I call it, massive margins with which we did, and the manner in which it was done, it was clearly great. But for me, beyond the victory of the NDC, there is also a significant thing about making sure that we activate and achieve what it is we set out to do, which is the resetting of our country. And for me, that personally goes with my own personal values, because I believe that this country is a country that has got so much potential. And I think over the period between 92 all the way to, let's say, 2024, we flattered to deceive. We literally just hovered on the edge of a potential that clearly should be able to be activated and accelerated. And to be given this opportunity as a political party to move into this reset agenda, which is really about changing the paradigms, taking the country to the whole new level, changing our value system and our attitudes, and setting a tone that is really one for excellence, and no more in the past, which was a competition of mediocrity. It should become a competition where two big political parties, or how many political parties you may have, are fighting on the back of who can accomplish much more excellently, as opposed to who can pull each other down or who can simply try to destroy the other. So I would say it's been a wonderful journey, and but a lot more can still be achieved.
Yeah. What would you consider to be your biggest challenge in the last 3 years?
It's a number of challenges would always be there, right? first and foremost, you must appreciate that being in opposition to NPP, especially the version of the NPP we had between 2017 up to 2024, is no mean achievement. It's not easy. Because I can tell you, I mean, that version of the NPP was literally the most ruthless version that you can ever fight. Because it's a version that simply reached a stage where it was simply an issue of, you know what, we're going to do anything possible, I mean, to ensure that we remain in office. So they took what you call sloganeering to a whole different levels. They broke promises, all right, but they believe somehow that they can simply throw about whatever, should I call it, exactly, I'm trying to get, because what they did really was not what's called real achievement, much more nominal achievement, that they believe that they can throw about and deceive the people and spin the people into belief. They believe that they had the electoral commission really with them, and therefore they can accomplish anything. And somehow they prove it in the year 2020 by the nature of the very election that we saw in 2020, where it was clear that they lost at the parliamentary level, but they used all kinds of shenanigans and stay in office. I mean, they had a situation where a whole constituency, SAL, was kept without representation for 4 years. So this literally is a group that believe that, you know, we can do anything.
So what, surviving the NPP was your biggest challenge? So
what I'm saying is, being in opposition and trying to win power, dealing with a group that is literally as desperate as they were, manipulating the system as they were, having the kind of resources that they had, believing that somehow they can get their way around, naturally requires a lot of work, trying to find solutions, trying to make sure, the most difficult part, trying to ensure that we focus on the election engineering side of things, because this is a group that had perfected that to a great deal. And so making sure that we focus on ensuring that elections are properly won without allowing them to get their way is clearly a tough challenge.
How did you do it, preventing yourself from becoming complacent? How do you do complacency? Because you said it.
Yeah.
No general secretary has had this victory, has chalked this level of success. You have, for the very first time, tasted it. There's a tendency when you reach that high that you get complacent. How do you deal with that?
I agree. I think personally, personally, I can tell you, I actually believe that this country has got so much potential that we are barely scratching the surface. That's how I view it. And this is coming also from having been in some of the places I've been. Where, for example, I've been at the Deputy Finance Ministry. I've seen the real economic potential of this country. I saw us, I mean, basically at the time I became the Deputy Finance Minister, we were literally now entering into what you call the oil age. And I led a lot of delegations into big conversations, and I saw the kind of expectation, the high expectation that Ghana had. I saw us, what you call, perform very well at the economic level between 2009 to 2012. I saw exactly what we're doing, how the whole world saw us as a country that had real capacity to go to that next level. Then I saw the difficulties that came from 2013 economically that affected us. Saw MPP coming into. So I've seen the potential. I've seen us being unable to fulfill that potential. So I see this as an opportunity to literally go to that whole next level. So there's really no room for complacency at all. Knowing what it is we are capable of achieving as a people, what it is, where we can take this country. If you become complacent, simply means you don't really know the extent to which we can go. I believe there's so much more we can do as a people, how far we can take this country, what opportunities we can open to the children and the younger ones who are behind us. So being complacent will be criminal. Okay.
And if you look back the last 3 years, what would be your biggest lesson? Over 3 years. In a lesson that would have defined your leadership style as a general secretary.
That's a very big one.
Because the first time you become a general secretary, you're learning new things. You're dealing with new challenges.
Definitely.
That always defines a human being. And you've talked about being in opposition and then MPP, the challenge that you face, and then you win this. What would be the biggest lesson? What has that taught you?
I think the most important thing is simply to, first of all, to remember that you are in that position because, let's say, so many people have placed their expectations and their hope on you to be able to steer the ship to the particular place it ought to. So that remains one that constantly keeps you humble. Two, to appreciate that you are taking over a party that represents such hope for people. And therefore, you always, at every moment, have to make sure it is always beyond you. It's bigger than you. And for me, that has been the most important thing. And also trying to let the party and all the people in the party appreciate that this thing is bigger than us as individuals. So therefore, let the party remain supreme. Not more than the country, but when you're dealing as far as the party is concerned, the party must remain supreme. But the party itself must remain under the nation in terms of the greater aspiration of the country. So I would say the greatest lesson is to constantly keep being anchored, grounded in that truth about the supremacy of the party as far as the party organization is concerned. Of course, the supremacy of the country over the party. So keeping that in perspective and ensuring that you manage the day-to-day situation, the expectations of your people, but keeping in mind that greater national aspiration and the need for the party to remain.
You are the chief executive of the NDC.
I would say that has been.
How do you trickle down this check against complacency? This lesson, party is supreme. Yeah. How do you trickle that down to the entire party structure?
Another very important question. And even, anyone who listens to me very well, even soon after the victory on December 7, 2024, anytime you listen to me, I keep saying one thing, that the victory has been great, it's been wonderful, but NDC must be humble enough to appreciate that this victory transcends the NDC. Some people in the party don't like it when I say that, because they wish that you ascribe it fully to the party. Then in that basis, the party then can take the full credit for the victory. But
the party must take the full credit for this.
No, the party clearly played a role. Yeah. But this victory is bigger than just the party.
What else?
Why? Because you have millions of people who absolutely gave us this opportunity, not because they belong to the party, but because they feel that, you know what, we want to see exactly whether you can live up to expectation this time around. Having voted against you in 2016, we are giving you an opportunity, having seen what these people have done in 8 years, show us that you can do far better. Show us that you will not let us down. So a lot of these are not captive voters. They don't necessarily belong to you, especially the young generation. They are not necessarily, they don't have any allegiance. They just want things done well for their country. So being able to remain humble, to appreciate that, listen, it's, as much as we've played our role as a party, there's a lot of people who actually joined this train and voted for us, not because they belong to the party, but because they want us to do what is right. Must be a way where the party members, all the way down to the branches, must keep humble. Sometimes it's difficult because the thinking is simple. We've won power. The country now belongs to us. The resources belong to us. Let's use it for ourselves. And I keep saying as a general secretary that no, that's not the mentality. The country does not belong to the NDC. Neither did it belong to the NPP in the 80s they were. And somehow political parties tend to have that kind of mentality that once you win, the resources belong to us. We have to use it the way we ought to. But no, you must constantly remember that what resources you have found belong to the people of Ghana. They belong to even the unborn children of Ghana. And our job is to ensure that these resources are harnessed, used in a manner in which we constantly are growing it, we are appreciating it, we are preserving it, and we always have in mind that we are simply stewards. And stewards mean a time of accountability is going to be here. And the people will be expecting to see, what have you done with the resources? Don't tell me about how much of those resources you use for yourself, how you've actually amassed those resources for yourself, but how have you used it in a way that you've made the life and the conditions of the people better? And I can tell you, it's a transitional difficulty, but as a party, we are willing to ensure that this journey becomes much more anchored into the mindset of our people.
As you say that this year, we saw go to parties grassroots. And they started playing out on social media. Some of your deputy general secretary, for example, had to confront it. Party rank and file started expressing disappointment that they've been left out. They've seen appointments pass them by, and they said, but they fought with you in the trenches to deliver this victory. How are you dealing with that? Because that has the potential of creating an us versus them, disenchantment, disillusionment among the rank and file of the party.
That's true. I mean, and that's all part of the whole process of expectation management, and that's really what it is we ought to do. But that whole journey must begin with a certain capacity to be candid, to be able to tell the truth to each other. And telling the truth in politics is a rare commodity, because sadly, politicians, by and large, I would call are beings that really look for convenience rather than conviction. Their number one thinking is that what it is that can give me the vote, what it is that can make me win, as opposed to what truth is there that even if uncomfortable must be told.
So what uncomfortable truths are you telling your grassroots?
First and foremost, the basic truth that there's no political system anywhere in the world, whether it's in America, England, anywhere in the world, that is capable of delivering for every single member of a party in a space of a year. Never happened before. I've seen 8 years of Rawlings. I've seen 8 years of Prof. Mills and John Mahama. I've seen 8 years of President Kufuor. I've seen 8 years of Nana Akufo-Addo. And there's no 8-year mandate that has ever been able to ensure that every single individual get a transformation overnight. It never happens. It never happened during the presidency of Clinton, never happened during the presidency of Obama. It won't happen during the presidency of Trump. So there is a need for a certain expectation to start getting moderated. It's a normal human, desire to want to see a immediate transformation in your life. That is true. But the truth must be told that it can only happen in turns. So 8 years in office, there are some who have an opportunity, maybe during recruitment, to get a job. Not everybody will get it. But they're thinking, I also must have it. Then I'm angry if I don't have it. It's one that we need to have a conversation about. There will definitely take turns. At the same time, the most important thing now is that we actually were voted in power with an expectation to bring a reset for the country. And that reset must begin with the transformation of the economy of this country. Because everything happens on the back of the economy. When the economy grows bigger, when it means there are more opportunities, it simply means that even if you do not have a government job, or you do not have a recruitment into a thing done by government, whichever place you operate within a society, you have capacities of being able to get better income, better job opportunities, better opportunities for your children, for your family. And that should be the number one, to ensure that this pie grows bigger. The cake gets bigger for all of us. If the cake gets bigger for all of us, it means that those thousands, hundreds of thousands of young people, into millions of young people who necessarily don't belong to the party, feel that, okay, this group that made a promise about reset is keeping to the promise, is delivering that promise. And that is what guarantees the capacity of the NDC to be able to win subsequent elections. And the more NDC is able to stay in power, then the higher the possibility of these grassroots people who belong to the party to have their opportunities met. So somebody has got an opportunity today, another person will get it tomorrow, another person will get it the day after tomorrow. But to simply expect that because he's been won, all of us must get opportunity today, it's one that I know is what the reality unfortunately is in our part of the world. But we must be candid and honest enough to tell each other it simply doesn't happen that way.
The president echoes what you just said. On the 7th of December, just last week, to mark 1 year of the elections, he posted on his Facebook page, and part of that message read, "To my NDC family, hold tight. Your reward is not just in positions or appointments, but in the Ghana we are building together, delivering a Ghana where your children will have opportunities, where justice prevails, and where hard work is rewarded." But here's the question. Looking at this, is not what your rank and file and grassroots were promised. We remember the phrase NCNC, no contribution, no chop. They contributed. You won.
But
it is now time to chop.
Yeah, I know. Even though that sounds very...
No, but the phraseology was there.
I understand.
No contribution, no chop. NCNC.
I know.
It was, I had that in the campaigns.
But then again, let's say
it's time to chop.
Let's say this.
And then when it's time to chop, you say, well, it's about Ghana. We are resetting.
Then again, the reset has to affect even the way we do even our politics prior to elections. And that is a tough ask, because unfortunately politicians tend to be very notorious when it comes to the need for moderation when campaigning. Some politicians believe, I would just say that what I would call the Baumia kind of politics is far more pervasive. Far more pervasive. It even affects some people, even in NDC as well. And the Bawumia kind of politics is simply this. Say anything that can help you win. It doesn't matter whether it's true or not. Just say it. And politicians on both sides tend to do that. And I'm saying the reset must affect even that. So when I'm even talking to members of the NDC, I should be candid enough to let them appreciate what it is that can be done realistically and what cannot be done immediately. In spite of the expectations that you created before the elections. I'm saying that even the prior expectation, I'm saying that the reset must even affect how that kind of conversation is done. And it's a conversation I wouldn't have a problem with. I mean, anybody who has had a conversation with me will tell you, even ahead of election, I'm not promising you what it is that realistically cannot be fulfilled. I have that courage of conviction, I won't do it. It's not every colleague who has that same courage of conviction. Some people believe some people believe that Charlie say anything for
you
power.
Think that as a party, as a unit, you overpromised to your grassroots, your base?
No, I wouldn't say so. Because, the real thing always has to do with what the leader of the party, because he really carries the banner and what it is that he said. I mean, he really has been very, very, what you call, realistic about promises. He said, for example, that we will try to work hard to grow the economy. As the economy grows, the opportunity will be provided for many people to be able to have that. And that's exactly what it is. Of course, some other individuals will tell you, no, overnight, you're going to see a transformation because he believes that if I tell you that, you vote for him. And I'm saying that narrative is one that the reset has to start affecting. So with this one, I'm saying it's a journey that have to see a complete transitioning away from the policies as we've known it, which is a traditional politics, which is simply say anything for power, to become a politics where you have the courage to say, you know what, I want to win power, but I still have the courage, I must have the courage to tell you what the truth is, and allow you to take those decisions on the back of what you see as the truth.
And when you tell them the truth, how do they react to you?
I think people appreciate you more when they know that you have the capacity of telling them the truth, because they do know, therefore, if I'm able to tell you the truth while looking for power, it means that when I have access to power, I will still be able to do the right thing and have that capacity. Some of our politicians tend to feel that, you know what, if I tell the truth, I will lose elections. But I think if you watch, even when you watch, for example, what's happening even in places like in the US, how many people could believe that you could have a politician like Trump who literally says things that most politicians will run away from saying because they're afraid of losing power. And Trump still says that and manages to get millions of people to vote for him. It tells you that politics is transitioning into a place where candor, authenticity, and courage of conviction have to become in the center, as opposed to the political... You think
Ghana is ripe for that kind of politics?
Well, I think if you saw the punishment that the Bawumia and the NPP got, Ghana is simply signaling that the policies of deception, the policies of lies, of sloganeering, of taking the people for granted, insulting the intelligence of the people must come to an end. We may not be fully ready for the full truth, but we are encouraging you to show a bit of candor and a bit of courage. Don't take us for fools. Don't lie to us. Don't treat us as kids. I think that's where we are transitioning to. And I think that's what this whole reset agenda should truly be about.
And talking about leadership styles, next year, you've just published your elections calendar. Mm-hmm. You've publicized that on the 19th of December 2026, you go back to the polls, mm-hmm. and some of you may have to see a renewal of your mandate. Mm-hmm. Are you one of them who wants to put yourself up again?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, it would be criminal to be such an important part of a process that has brought about this reset agenda. And then after you achieve that, then you step away, literally not bringing more of your experience or your capacity to ensure that the reset agenda become much more anchored to build the kind of foundation that we need for the future. So definitely, I intend to ensure that I'm part of the process in terms of continuing to lead a party at the highest level. But the important process is to say we are beginning it right from the very
so you do level. Your constituency officers, you do regional officers?
Yeah, so we start from the branches. Okay. We start with the branches, ensure that that process is the first start. And that's really all you ought to be. They represent the root of the party. So you want to start from those levels. And then from there, you move towards the constituency. And then move gradually to the region.
But considering how
before eventually come to the national level.
You've become as a politician.
Mm-hmm. I've always been.
Well, okay. As a general secretary, it's a different level.
Okay.
And you know, mm-hmm. our politics, we're used to politics of at least being politically correct, mm-hmm. you know, skirting the issues. Mm-hmm. You say you're being frank. You're telling delegates, you're telling potential delegates, because you're not going to go to the seasonal elections. You're telling party grassroots that the truth is you possibly have to wait for us to fix the country, and then the benefits will trickle down to everybody. And they will tell you, but I'm seeing other people who didn't contribute as much as I. Isn't that a risk for you personally, because you're going to be asking them to vote for you? As you've seen on social media, but some of them are unhappy at all.
Yeah, but it's normal. It's normal.
And they may punish you as a general secretary next year.
Yeah, but then, it goes with fair. It's the whole of, it's all of us. It's all of us. We stand and fall together. President Mahama, leads the party. I work as a general secretary of the party. It's our job to ensure that the promises made, we work hard towards accomplishing that. And there is a way to get it done. You can't simply rush the process. Because if you rush the process, you end up destroying the country. Because if we wanted, for example, to make everybody happy, you know what we would have done? Instead of, for example, recruiting, let's say, 6,000 people into what you call, into the police, the prisons, the immigration.
The security services generally.
Exactly. We want to recruit, let's say 500,000 people. And by recruiting 500,000 people, which actually would have made our supporters happier, because then you have many opportunities to recruit a lot of our grassroots, can actually be done. But the cost of that is actually to destroy the economy, to take what you call the public sector way to different levels. Then to now bring into a place the situation again that brings about inflation, that destroys the stability of our currency, that throws the deficits out of place, that totally destroys everything. Then the question then is that why did you condemn the MPP for having destroyed the economy by going into an irresponsible manner of management? And then you come promising people that you are resetting the nation only because you are afraid of the anger of your grassroots. You come exactly and do the same thing, if not worse. As you said earlier, and to whom a lot is given, a lot more is expected. And a lot has been given to us in terms of expectation. And we clearly cannot criminally do any of the things that the MPP did simply because we are trying to just make our people happy immediately. A good parent is a one that is able to still tell his children, I know what you want. I know exactly that it's legitimate. But it has to be done properly if we want to ensure that we sustain this country and sustain even the political party.
So you want to run again next year. You know what they say. You leave when the applause are loudest. This is the loudest it will get for any general secretary. Why don't you just simply leave? You've done it, but you've set a record. I doubt there will be any general secretary in our history going forward who can deliver a 2/3 majority in Parliament. So this is the time.
I think this party is going to move to that next level.
You can't beat this record in 2024, can you?
No, it's not just about election. It's not just about election. The NDC, even as a vehicle, needs to go through what I call a more comprehensive reset.
As in the party itself?
The party itself needs
to go through. That's the first I'm hearing that. I've heard resetting the country.
No. The reset, charity begins at home. The party itself must go through that process.
What are you resetting then?
You reset, NDC. For example.
NDC is perfect. You've delivered a massive victory.
No. NDC clearly is not perfect.
It's milk and honey.
No, NDC is not perfect at all. For example, if you had our way, anyone who is a member of the NDC who has got any of the Baumia politics inside of the person, you need to go to reset. I want at every branch level to have people whose value systems are much higher, who love this country more, who place the party ahead of themselves. You understand? Who will not sacrifice their country. We need to be able to have that across the length and breadth of the party. Millions of people. It's not easy. Because I can tell you, even the churches are not able to transform all the members of their organization to become much more, shall I call it, more perfect and more pure in their intention. And to do that for a political party that has got millions of supporters is not easy, but that is an effort that we must do. And for me, that truly is what this party has been about.
You want to reset the NDC?
The NDC itself must be reset.
After delivering that victory?
No, the victory is beautiful.
You don't fix what is not broken.
But see, what will sustain NDC performing very well is when the members of the NDC, right from the branches all the way to the national, first and foremost, understand the need for greater values.
But they do.
Need for greater.
That is why they delivered you the victory you've already had. Why do you want to fix something that ain't broken? If it ain't broke, don't fix.
No, it doesn't work that way. Don't forget, NDC won a very great victory in 1992, 58%. We won virtually the same, 58% in 1996. That's about 57 points, almost 58%. But after that, in 4 years, I mean, we barely were making 43%. You understand? So it tells you that victory can be very transient, can be very ephemeral. But if you have the political party itself understanding what brings about victory, have the value system that will ensure that victory can be sustainable, then you are now setting it on a platform where things become much more enduring. And that's where we ought to be going. NDC by no means is near the finished article it ought to be. For the sake of this country, the party must become better, more vibrant. The party's people must understand the true values of the party. When the next time when any party person sings, "Arise, arise for Ghana, ye patriots of the land," they need to understand the meaning of those words far more. For the moment, I believe there are many who sing those words, but they don't really understand them. And our job is to ensure that every member of this party, even those who are young and now are going to become older, understand it to the extent that they know this party fundamentally is about Ghana. Arise, arise for Ghana. Once we reach there, the NDC would have gone through the proper reset, and that would ensure that the country gets better.
I'm going to take a break. When I return, his view of NDC reset, isn't it being idealistic? Maybe pursuing perfection? You can't attain it? Because many say that is as best as the NDC can get. This is the strongest version of the NDC yet. And yet, General Secretary says he wants more. I will ask him to define when he says reset, exactly what does it mean. But then also we'll talk about the parties going into a phase now that they're not only having to get new national leaders and leaders throughout the ranks, but they will have to put up a new face in 2028. That always is a difficult one. And if he wins next year, he'll be the guy who's going to be ushering the face of the party. How does he plan to manage that? Stay with me. And thanks for staying with us here on PM Express. My guest is still Fifi Kwetey. He is the General Secretary of the NDC. And he's confirmed before we went for the break that next year when the national executive positions are up for re-election and elections, he's going to put himself up. And he has a big challenge. And you think there's no challenge. I mean, this is him going to coast. It's on the back of his unprecedented victory. Is nothing more than just showing up and winning. But he has presented himself a bigger challenge. He says he's not going to rest on his laurels. He's actually going to attack an internal resetting to get the party ready to sustain the heights they're currently on. And he's been explaining that. And Fifi, you were on that point. I wanted to define for me when you say reset in the context of the party, what does it look like in reality?
Okay. Yeah, even as I hinted earlier, charity must begin at home. Let's say it this way. A movement can only be as great as the people who make that movement. So what makes a political party great? It's not simply winning election. But what makes a party great is when you have individuals who belong to that party themselves being on a path of greatness. And the real greatness of any group, whether it's even a nation or any organization, is the fact that the people who are members of that organization have value system that truly can make them truly great and strong. So, for example, we pray for our country to become great and strong. It simply means we want the 33 millions of people in Ghana to be truly having values that truly will make them great and strong. The same for the NDC as a political party. Now, when you have a political party, a majority of the people do not have a value system that ensures that the right thing is done. They do not have the discipline. They do not have the fortitude to want to be patient. They do not have the system that ensures that they are principled to do what is right. When the party wins power, the people who are members of that party who now move into various positions, whether as CEOs, whether as ministers, district chief executive, or board member, they are so themselves so deficient in principle and in values that that country is really not going to have a lot of great things. No matter how good the president may be, the president can only be as great as the numbers of people who are supporting him in the different places. So if, for example, you have a minister for finance who himself hasn't got, for example, a value system that ensures that he does what is right, he fights for his country, he doesn't mortgage his country, and he's not been able to acquire this from the party, knowing that the party will not tolerate wrong things being done, then the country is going to be in difficulty. I don't want to mention it, but you end up having, for example, a Ken Ofori-Atta who becomes a finance minister, who literally does what is wrong, because he doesn't even come from the party themselves that is ensuring that you do what is right. Now, if you have a party where the leadership of the party is already telling you as members of the party that you will be thrown under the bus if you do what is wrong, that the party is not going to shield you if you do what is wrong, then naturally everybody in the party starts to realize that there's a different music playing now. It's not the same music of old, where you think that you do what is wrong, the party shields you and protects you. No. Now, the party says the country is more important than anything. So if you want to be considered, be one that loves the country, that's constantly understanding that you have to do what is right for the country. It changes the paradigm. So I'm saying that that is really where I aspire for this party to reach. A party that is totally reset in a manner in which we can be true vehicle that can bring
How do you
real
respond
transformation.
when I tell you that what you're preaching sounds idealistic?
Yeah, I know. It sounds very idealistic, but that's exactly how you ought to be. I mean, even as a nation, when we started this journey, a journey to make our nation great and strong, and as we have it embodied in our national anthem, anybody who listens to that will say, wow, that is very idealistic. A nation that's talking about freedom and talking about justice. A nation that's talking about creating a system where we can should I call it, fight against the oppressor's rule. All these things sounds idealistic, but that's how you ought to be. You must always believe that you can go to that next level at all moments. And NDC as a party must always appreciate that we are not where we ought to be. There's still greater levels we ought to go. We have to have a party that becomes a true family, where individuals are catered for, where the fall of one represents the fall of the other. And therefore, there's no selfishness. It's about ensuring that we create opportunity that elevate as many people as possible. Also means that we have to take away value systems that make us lazy. So, for example, we believe that, listen, anything goes. I mean, once my party is in power, if they can take care of me, no matter how lazy I am, no. I mean, you have to understand, you need to also work harder. You need to be more creative. You need to be more disciplined. You need to have a value system that ensures that you bring a contribution to bear.
And talking about internal reset, is it true that John Mahama has read the Riot Act to members of his cabinet and his government, warned them that they are going to have hellfire if they create a scandal? In fact, what I was told is that he said the person who delivers the first scandal will be made a scapegoat.
Oh, absolutely.
Is that
I mean, I can confirm that 100%, and I can also confirm that not only has he done that, the party has solidly stood behind him, even in cabinet, telling him, listen, we're fully behind you in terms of doing that. Now, if you are a member of government, and first of all, you know that the leader of the government is telling you in plain language that we are not going to tolerate any wrong thing, and then you also look and then see the leaders of the party backing him, it means that on all levels, father and mother are on one alignment, and therefore you better do what is right. That's why you can go through one whole year and you hardly can talk about scandals, because every single person does know that if you do that, you are on your own. The party is not shielding you, the president is not shielding you, therefore you have to do what is right.
So what, people will be sacked or prosecuted or both, depending on what is it exactly? What's the consequence?
You'll be dealt with.
What were they told?
You'll be dealt with.
What does dealt with mean?
Dealt with means, for example, if what you do is wrong, you actually have to face what you call the due process. If you have to be taken to court, you'll be taken to court. Nobody's shielding you. If you have to be jailed, you are going to be jailed. Because we need to build a country where no matter who is in power, the country's interest must remain paramount. A situation where NDC has come, therefore NDC must shield itself, must protect itself, must cover people who are doing wrong. That must be a thing of the past. The country must remain
And how did the cabinet ministers react to this?
I think they clearly do know. I mean, that the president means every bit of what he's saying. In fact, the president actually tells them in joking that, you know what, once you hear the trouble, don't even bother calling, because your call will not be picked. What is to be done will be done. And they know, and they clearly know that exactly will be what will be done.
Let's talk about a brief party matter, just to clear this. There are at least 17 NDC executives who have been appointed to government too. I mean, John Mahama appointed a lot of party executives. So they are combining this dual role. Why are they not being forced to abandon one and focus? Either focus on government and focus on party?
I would say that's it's always going to remain a challenge. Ideally, you want individuals to be to reach a position where on their own they will say, you know what, I've been appointed to a position now, so I want to focus increasingly on that position. But human nature, some of them feel that I've been appointed to a position, that position can be taken away from me any minute. because the positions are the pleasure of the appointer. Now, so if, let's say, after 6 months, the appointer decides that I'm no more in that position, then what happens to me? I've left my elected position and then hanging on to the appointment. And it's just like being an MP. You are elected as an MP for 4 years. Then you are appointed, maybe to become a minister, or to become a deputy minister. Now, the appointed position can be taken away from you anytime. The elected position is one that is sustainable because the people have voted you for 4 years. So you want to say, you know what, I'm elected. So that should always be there. As for the appointment, I'm just serving at the pleasure of the president for now, and it can be taken away from me. So you can appreciate a bit of that. Why some are concerned that appointment may not be there forever. That this election have a term.
But it's going to affect their focus.
Then in that case,
how is it affecting party work?
Then to be the same thing for what happens with MPs. Where MPs who are appointed as ministers spend a lot of their time at the ministerial, and whether that affects their MP's job in parliament or even affect their work in their constituency, is something that we've had to juggle with from 1992 to date. I mean, if you appreciate that. So it's almost the same thing that's happening at the party level. But the thing is, if you have a huge party like the NDC, there is always others who can step in. So, for example, my youth organizer now is a minister for youth.
The last time he was here asking this question, he actually said that he disagrees with those, and the national chairman was here. He thought that decision must be taken on making a separation. And the youth organizer said, who's also the minister, says, well, he disagrees with that. He expressed your view, which is that my appointment, the president can disappoint me tomorrow. What happens if you say I should leave my party position, which I'm elected position? And then there was going to be a meeting of a sort at the party level to try and fix this. Exactly. What was the decision?
But what I can tell you is simple. At the political level, decisions will be taken, and this decision will be taken by the electorate. I mean, by the delegate. Now, when the delegate, for example, perceive you as an individual to be showing greed, that politically is dangerous. When the delegate start feeling, okay, you've had this position, you've been appointed to a position. At the same time, you're hanging on to a position that's elected. You're not allowing others who can step in to do the work. And at the same time, you are getting resources in this position to want to use to encumber the other position. That politically can backfire. You never want to create impression to delegate as if you are being greedy.
But shouldn't you take charge of that now and make a decision?
But don't forget, I mean, you're talking also about the constitution of a party. I mean, the party is run according to rules, according to articles. And as long as those articles do not forbid an individual who has been elected from holding his position as an elected who are being appointed, there's very little you can do. I mean, you can, for example, go through, I mean, we can, for example, look at the situation where we go to what you call a particular Congress at which we want to start looking at our laws again. And say, can we have a conversation regarding this law?
What about the good governance question?
In terms of what?
The country. So you have a party person who is now a minister. However, there's a good governance question there about, let's have a separation. The separation between party and government must be there. You know, there's a school of thought that once a party gets into power, there must be that separation. But now you have a deputy general secretary you have a youth organizer who is in government. That creates a governance question.
That might be pushing it a bit, because don't forget, the president remains the leader of a political party himself. The number one who is in charge of the country, who is in charge of the resources of the country. It still remains the leader of a political party. You understand? So in that respect, I would say it's almost similar to having, for example, my communication officer, who is now a CEO, or my youth organizer, who is now a minister, and different. So you can't strictly just say totally get out of it, because the president himself also politically, he remains. For example, if NDC meets at the political level, he is the leader of the party. The decision have to be taken regarding the party, he remains the leader of the party at the moment. So it's not as cut and dried as that.
Let's talk about oral.
Okay.
You had recently said, quote, many among us, despite the fact that pleas and pressure are coming, that punishment has to be meted out, and this must be done properly. Some among us are busy cutting deals with people who are supposed to be prosecuted. Are people among you still cutting deals?
Actually, what I said is that some among us are trying to cut deals. Trying to cut deals.
Are people still trying to cut deals?
I would think those were strategic interventions to let them know that we're hearing things, we are picking stuff, and therefore be on the lookout. I mean, because if you want to move it to the level of crystallizing it, then we'll be exposed. And the exposure will therefore become with punishment. So if that's what it is some of you are facing, think through about it. Don't let it become a reality. Somebody can approach you and try to cut a deal, but keep it at that level. But don't never want to go beyond that and to make it a crystallization. And that's the point we were making. And I'm happy that the whole system appreciates that. The president clearly has stated that, listen, people may dream about cutting their deals, but as far as he's concerned, that will not be allowed to happen. Naturally, that goes to everybody who is part of the process of ensuring that the right thing gets done, from the Attorney General through to his deputies, through to all the others who are operating, and making sure that we do what is right regarding corruption. So I would just say that it's a statement that needed to be made, and those with ears have heard.
Okay, and because you listen to that, it caused a bit of controversy. What if I tell you, I put it to you, that was an admission in many people's minds, that despite riding the high horse of anti-corruption to power, waving the oral flag, many NDC elements indeed were enablers of corruption, and they were actually thinking and maybe actually actualizing that thought.
I did tell you already that there's no political party that is made up of angels. That's why I'm telling you that NDC itself needs to go through what you call comprehensive research. I did tell you that if I had my way, every single member of the party will be having a kind of value system that I can sleep at night knowing that the members of my party would do what is right at all moment. But that's not the reality. I mean, there are many in my party who, honestly, if you look at it genuinely, they are not really very different from Bawumia. When push comes to shove, they will do exactly the kind of promises that Bawumia does, which is just desperation to win power. There are many like that. And so we cannot delude ourselves that that is not the reality. Our job is to constantly try to shine the light and ensure that if that's who you are, you can become better.
In fact, to back the point you just made there, you actually said in that same quote that you would name them if they don't stop. I may not mention names, quote, but a time will come when we may have to.
Absolutely.
So that was a warning.
Yeah, but then don't forget, I didn't say a crime had been committed. I'm saying that people are having conversation and we are picking up those conversations. And when those conversations move away from conversation to start getting close to reality, we will not allow it to happen, because that will mean doing something against the country.
Are you threatening you will name them?
Oh, naturally, yeah.
Did that work? Of course,
that did work.
Stopped?
That did work. That did work. Subsequently, I would say that any of those names that we pick here in basically subsided, because I'm sure people started looking over their shoulder, saying, could it be me? Could it be me? Naturally, that helps.
So they stopped attempting to cut the deal.
At least it's not crystallized beyond from the time I spoke to now. I can say that I've not seen
it's possible deals of the kind that we don't know yet, or you don't know yet.
Oh, but whichever way. I mean, I can tell you, though, I mean, anybody who is doing it, I mean, if there is any evidence to that, the person clearly will not be shielded. That's what we said. The person will not be shielded.
Are you satisfied with the pace of the oral prosecutions and investigations?
Let me say this way, that I believe what is worth doing must be done well. That ideally, people will wish for it to happen yesterday. But I would say I was young when 1979 happened. But even though I was young, I learned a few things. And one of the things I learned is that it is better to do it properly, to do it comprehensively, to ensure that no innocent person gets punished, than to simply listen to the clarion call where people are saying, let the blood flow, let the blood flow, punish people. That's another version of the let the blood flow. But you have to be careful that in listening to the cry of the let the blood flow, you don't precipitate the process. That would make it difficult for you to do it properly, to do it thoroughly, and ensure that only the true justice is done. NDC is blessed to ensure that true justice is done. NDC has no benefit in rushing any process that would bring about any form of injustice. I mean, the kind of blessing we've had with this reset, the kind of blessing that gave us the victory, that's so unprecedented, that blessing can only be anchored when we ensure that justice remains a true pillar. And you know, the two major pillars of our country are freedom on one hand, justice on the other. So anytime you do what is truly just, you consolidate this country. And NDC must ensure that justice gets done. So even though I know there's a lot of cry for things to be done very quickly, you have to be careful as well. You cannot make the sun to rise before it's time for the sun to rise. Meaning processes have to be allowed to go through. The legal processes as it is. So I would say that to the extent that should I call it, the Attorney General, together with his team, can ensure that we stop as many of what I call the filibustering or the processes that people naturally use to delay and so on. If the system should try to minimize those ones and ensure that things get done.
But in opposition, last year, NDC called for the blood to flow on oral. Recover or loot.
Yeah, and we are still calling for the blood.
Go after the people.
No, we are still calling for the same. But we are saying that don't do it in a manner that you end up punishing innocent people. Meaning those who truly are guilty, make sure that they are punished. Make sure you recover that loot. No compromise on that. But as I said, what is worth doing is worth doing well. We don't want one innocent blood to be shed. The country does not benefit from an innocent blood being shed. By anybody who truly
in this context, why innocent person be sent to jail?
Exactly, innocent person being sent to jail, or even being vilified in any way. Let those who truly are done what is wrong face the full rigors of the law. Let the punishment be meted out. Let the loot be recovered.
So,
for the sake
as far
of
as you're concerned, the process hasn't delayed.
As far as I'm concerned, I've not had a reason yet to feel as if there is any deliberate delaying of the process. But as I said, I'm not directly in the day-to-day, should I call it, cases. So I cannot 100% say whether every single thing is being done as quickly as it ought to be done. That's my hope. That is exactly what is being done. And I believe we see a lot more happening in 2026.
But do you wish it had moved faster than it is currently?
As I said, I'm not in a position to see whether it has been slowed down unnecessarily. You understand? I can only, from the conversation I've had with the Attorney General and his team, the impression I get is that they are going as fast as they can go. They are going as fast as they can go. And as I said, when people wanted to go as like what you call 2 times that speed, no matter how fast you're going, it's not good enough because they really want the process to be much faster.
I put it to you that this is a problem of your own creation because of the expectations you created in 2024. You cried wolf a lot.
Yeah, but we didn't say that as soon as we come to power, we didn't say that as soon as we come to power, within a matter of a couple of months, people will be jailed. We never said that. We said the processes will be...
You didn't say that, but you created that impression.
No, we said people will be punished.
That all hell will break loose when you lose.
No,
you
recover
the loot.
Yeah, and that's truly still part of the process of making sure that anybody who has done what is wrong would simply not be spared. So for example, the party would not in any way allow anybody who has done what is wrong to try and do any deals in order to escape. We will not allow it. You can come and even see the general secretary or see the party chairman and come and try and cut a deal. You will not be allowed. You will not be shielded. So those things have to be. When people have done what's wrong, they clearly have to be punished. But the processes have to be comprehensive. They have to be thorough. It's important.
Well, so what do you tell your rank and file who say they haven't seen action? What do you tell them directly?
Oh, but I think some people speak out of emotions. But when you go through the facts one after the other, people start realizing, okay, it's not really as terrible as we thought it was. Because all you need to do is to go through the different cases that have been brought. Okay? So if it's, for example, the case that it was in the Wontumi case, for example.
Case,
you can go into
national service.
The national service case, what is happening. The cases that have to do with... So different cases in what has been done so far. So if you walk through gradually, people will realize, okay, much as we wish that it were already done and whoever is involved is already being punished, as long as the cases are being done in a manner that we are gradually seeing it's becoming more and more pushing towards an end, people feel...
On the subject of corruption, recently your chief whip in Parliament and your majority leader sponsored a private member's bill to scrap the office of the special prosecutor. Is there an NDC conspiracy to get rid of the special prosecutor or his office?
What I would say is that, but you heard what the president actually said.
The president has requested that they withdraw.
Absolutely. So in that respect, what I would say is this. The majority leader, the chief whip, they are doing a great job so far. But there's a need for them to also appreciate that they are not an island. They are operating as part of the party. So major decisions have to be done in consultation with the party.
You were not consulted?
Clearly, we were not consulted. So the point I'm making is this. Don't go do things that will force the president to come and say no. Work as an organ. Work together. So let the party be consulted on major decisions. But that's all I can say on that. I've already said that on a private level. As far as the public is concerned, that's all I can. Of course. So that's all I can say for now.
Can you confirm if he has been withdrawn? Because the president requested that he's been withdrawn.
Naturally, it will be. If the president speaks, it will be. It will be. But we don't need to go through that into the future, and that goes especially to the chief whip. He sometimes has a tendency to want to hasten things without proper consultation, and that I can leave it at that.
Let's talk about what could be possibly your biggest challenge yet if you win next year. John Mahama has been on the ballot since 2012. So you're looking at a combined total of 16 years, if I'm not mistaken, 2012 to now.
Actually, you will say effectively 2008 because that's the first time he appeared
there,
under the ballot. Yeah. So effectively, a good part of 20 years, 2 decades on the ballot.
For that long, you've never had gone to the worry of who was going to be he's always been the guy.
That's true.
There have been internal contests, but everybody, the party was clear. Sure. For the first time in almost 2 decades, you're going to have that challenge approaching 2028. That, as you know, in our political history, always sets parties up for internal division, especially the NDC. Sure. In your own history, this transition has led to breakaways. Sredo Declaration led to several breakaways.
That's true.
You had that before going forward. So the NDC has a very unique history when you are going to transition. Transitioning from Rawlings to Mills was a problem. It led to a lot of big ways leaving, right? How do you plan to handle this differently, drawing from the lessons of the NDC's past?
If I said it's going to be an easy process, I'll be lying because it's normal. I mean, if you've had John Mahama having been right into the heart of things for a good part of will be 20 years by the end of 2028, that is quite a significant period that you've had him right there. But one thing I say all the time, the party is supreme. And as long as the party as a vehicle is strong, then we have a good chance of making it. And so that's why I keep mentioning about the need for the party itself to become increasingly more anchored, much more reset, in order to ensure that we constantly place the party ahead of all consideration. The reason why you've had some of this breakaway has to be simple, where individuals start thinking that they are bigger than the party. When individuals start feeling that they are so indispensable that without them the party cannot be. So we had those situations where those individuals who thought clearly they were bigger than the party decided to break away from the party. But today, invariably, almost all of them have come back to the party.
In his back.
Because it dawned on them very quickly that without the party, they are nothing. It's the party that makes them strong. You understand? And I've said all the time that no matter even how great you are, I mean, Jerry Rawlings, the founder of our party, bless his soul, great. But the party is actually the difference. So even Jerry Rawlings, at the point when things became such that he was no more exactly happy, the party still moved on. The party went into election 2012 without Rawlings even taking part in the election. He didn't have so money to win. You understand that? The party managed to win election 2024, even when Mrs. Rawlings, who is literally the mother of the party, was not exactly in the party and so on. So it tells you that the party itself is quite strong. John Mahama, bless his soul. But don't forget, he's not an independent candidate. The reason why he has done what he's done because he has a mighty party. That is the vehicle that he rode upon. So the party is always number one. So we just need to ensure that every single person in this party appreciates that the party is number one. Every individual is dispensable. Like we say, we say what cadres will go, cadres will come, but the revolution has come to stay. That's exactly what the truth is, that the party, individuals will come and go, but the party has come to stay. Once millions of our supporters appreciate that, when the moment comes, all we need to tell them is that don't look at individuals, look at what works for the party. Don't look at what individuals will tell you. Look at what works for the party. Look for people who clearly love this party, who show loyalty to this party, who represent this party at the best level, who will be great ambassadors for this party. And once you have that, with what has been accomplished by JM, and the party over these 4 years, we should be in a position to be able to present a candidate that will be able to win the hearts and the minds of the people.
7th January 2026, JM will mark exactly a year's anniversary since he took office. Already, those of us who watch politics see there's some of you who are jostling, and I'm not saying you, some in the party, in government, holding positions who are jostling subtly to replace him already. We see it.
Yeah.
You see it too.
Yeah. What I would say is this. Especially for the year 2025, any individuals who were so minded to start literally displaying their ambition, those individuals effectively are simply insulting JM and also insulting the party. I totally find it an affront. I find it disrespectful for any group to any individual to think that the very first year, after you made promises to the 30 million plus Ghanaians about what it is you intend to do, you have not even yet reached the place where you are literally manifesting those promises, delivering those promises. And all individuals are thinking about is how I can become the president. And I find it insulting. I find it insulting not just JM, but also the party.
Have you told them directly?
Have made that. No, I don't.
Have you had to tell any of those people?
I don't need to call individuals to say so. But generally, I say that in plain language. That is how I view it, regardless of whoever is involved. There's no need. Nobody has come to me and told me that I want to run.
I know.
If they did, I would tell them plainly.
But you are so astute politically that you know what's happening.
It doesn't matter.
Because for us, we say
it doesn't
this is so obvious.
You can have your dreams. As long as you haven't stated it, some of us will tell you. But if I have an opportunity publicly, that's what I will declare. What you want to do is you want to work with this group and ensure that we lay the foundation that ought to be laid with JM. Because it's on those foundations that anybody who wants to aspire tomorrow is going to be standing. So when individuals cannot say that, the individuals are thinking about themselves. What simply means is that the party supporters, the delegates of the party must start seeing those individuals as people who are placing themselves ahead of the party. And any individual who places himself ahead of the party clearly is not a candidate that you should be looking for the future. Because the people you must look for the leadership of the party must all moment be people who are disciplined enough, who are loyal enough, who place themselves not ahead of the party, but below the party, who are looking at the party first before themselves. And that should be. And so I would say that's a message I want to give to anybody. Would you advocate
for those to step aside by themselves if indeed it gets closer and they want to, other than stay in and create divisions?
Of course. Especially those of them who are in government. We are clearly not going to, and I think even the system will not even allow you. If you are in government and you are intending to run to become a leader of the party, you clearly must step away from government in order to focus on your ambition. You can't be in government and be using government resources to be pursuing your personal agenda. No. If you have a private agenda to lead a party, fair, it's legitimate. But you can't be in that position while doing so.
Let's end with the Electoral Commission. It was a national chairman who sat in a seat here and told me categorically that he believes the EC chairperson and her 2 deputies must go.
Okay.
As we speak tonight, their petitions already have been activated. Okay. President had sent it to the Chief Justice and processes have started. Okay. The NDC is putting in place, in fact, is activating and implementing what you've always wished. You are behind those petitions, are you not?
No, I wouldn't say we are behind petitions at all. But what I would say is that any electoral commission that could supervise a situation where thousands of people in a constituency can remain without representation for 4 years, it's an electoral commission that clearly has no business being where they are. That's the biggest crime that can ever be committed. And on that crime alone, you clearly have no business being where you are. So I'm not going to jump the gun. I want to say that if the petitions are submitted, let the due process be followed.
But you want them
I've said it on the back of that. For me, that's the biggest crime that can ever be committed. Any group that supervises that has clearly no reason to remain in office. That's the biggest crime you can commit. in any democracy.
General Secretary
to take away what you call the right of people from being represented. So it's not so much about what I want, it's about what I think is a wrong thing.
General Secretary wants them gone. National Chairman wants them gone. The Deputy General Secretary last week told me he also wants them gone. And then there's a petition. Is that coincidence?
I believe that.
Is there a coincidence that all of you want them gone? There's a petition to remove them?
I believe if you could commission an independent survey to gauge the sentiment of the people of Ghana, I believe that a vast majority of Ghanaians will want them gone too. So I don't think it's anything to do with a general secretary or the national chairman. I think the people of Ghana would want them gone too.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're approaching Christmas.
Yeah. And
the New Patriotic Party and the NPP, there's always this tension that seems to exist between the two. There's, they're attacking you, you're attacking them. They're in parliament. As you know, you have your super majority and you call the micro minority. In the spirit of Christmas, they always, there was a time when actually the parties met and, one time in our history, created this sense that, look, we are together, you're approaching one country. You want the common outcomes. In the spirit of Christmas, are we going to see a point when that, and I must say, because I watch all of you, when the cameras aren't on, you guys are good friends. But why don't we see that play out to calm tensions and put the divisions aside?
Yeah.
Is this something that you believe must be entrenched in our body politic and done away with?
Yeah, I think much more than simply creating a semblance of we are together, we love each other, everything is perfect among us. I think what we should rather be doing is to be looking for people in those two political parties who are converging increasingly more around the love of nation.
Okay.
And I think when that becomes the main thing, where, for example, I'm finding people in NPP who truly are burning, blazing. I think they are. I think they are. And we need to encourage many more people. I mean, my personal hope is that the same research that's happening within the NDC must happen in the NPP too.
Okay.
So we must, at every point in time, have the people who are leading the NPP to be people.
I mean, the research you want to lead in the NDC.
All I'm saying, that the research which I believe should happen in Ghana and which must happen in NDC, same research must happen in NPP. So that at any point in time, those who are emerging in leadership in NPP are truly people who are truly very filled with love for nation, who are principled enough to want the right things done, who stop the policies of desperation and anything for power for the sake of power. That must start going down, and it must be increasingly much more of a blazing desire for things to be done.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Absolutely. To you, to your family, and to all our viewers, the very best of the season. Let's pray that we see the crystallization of a nation that is truly great.
And you know what? Today you celebrate 3 years since you were elected. Today is my final show for the year. Wow. Final live show for the year. I mean, in fact, today is my final show for the year. And the next time you see me back here will be next year.
Wow.
On the 5th of January.
Oh, then I'm privileged.
Yes, of course, you are privileged. And so thank you very much.
Absolutely. And, it's always a pleasure, Ivans.
And thank you again. And all the best for the next 3 years and beyond as General Secretary of the party. So I'll see you on the 5th of January, 2026. Fifi Kwetey, the General Secretary of the NDC, has been my final guest for PM Express for 2025, and he's celebrating tonight 3 years as General Secretary. Enjoy the rest of your evening.